Hey there, music lovers, and all you swan diving post-hardcore enthusiasts. Welcome back to the Black Sugar Loving Experience, where I talk about, well, whatever I want. Today, we're hitting the accelerator on the internet highway as we take a deep dive into some rocking tunes. We've got a band that's as unique as a unicorn riding a bicycle. They're actually my favorite band, just before Fall Out Boy. This band is Dance Gavin Dance, everyone!
Hi, everybody!
So strap in, because this roller coaster of a band is about to take you on a wild musical ride. Dance Gavin Dance, or DGD for short, is a band that's as consistent as your friendly neighborhood gym rat. What started in 2005 as a musical experiment has since turned into a musical phenomenon, with a revolving door of members and a sound that's like trying to describe the taste of a rainbow. DGD is a band that you won't soon forget. Let's break down the members of DGD, shall we? First up, we got John Mess on vocals. He's got a growl that can scare the pants off a clown. When he's not screaming his lungs out, rumor has it that he's the band's official cookie taster. Next, we got Will Swan on guitar. Not only does he shred like a paper shredder with a caffeine addiction, but he's also the band's chief songwriter and a resident math genius. Seriously, try counting the time signatures in the songs and you'll need a calculator and a strong cup of coffee. Tillian Pearson takes the lead and is our current clean vocalist. I'll get to the other two, Johnny Craig and Kurt Travis, throughout the video. Back to Tillian. He's got a voice smoother than Craig Ferguson's flirting, and his melodies are so catchy that they'll stick in your head like gum to your shoe on a summer sidewalk. And then there's the rhythm section. We had Tim Feerick on bass, rest in peace. For those that don't know, Tim Feerick was the longtime bassist of the band since 2009, which is the happiness era, till April 2022, when he unfortunately passed away. Tim held down the low end like a champ. He must have made it his mission to constantly challenge my car's subwoofer because he always gave it a run for its money. There's also Matt Mingus on drums. He doesn't play. The drums, he attacks them with a vengeance. His beats are so unpredictable that they left audiences wondering if they're listening to a drum kit or a spaceship taking off. Dance Gavin Dance currently has 11 studio albums. This doesn't include the Tree City sessions, which I'll get to later, and the instrumental versions of the album. I'll be going through each album minus Jackpot Juicer. Let's kick things off with their debut album, Downtown Battle Mountain. It's like the musical equivalent of A Beautiful Chaos. It's full of energy, great melodies, and lyrics that are as cryptic as your high school crush's diary. This is the album when we're first introduced to our first clean vocalist, Johnny Craig, everyone. This dude has one of the most sensational voices ever. It's a beautiful mix of angelic soul and the grittiness of rock. John Mess's screams here, if you want to call it that, are more like growls on the lower end compared to his current style of screaming. This sets the stage for the band's unique sound. The thing with Dance Gavin Dance is that their albums don't sound the same. Each has their own identity, but you can very clearly tell who made it. They're similar to Kanye West in that sense. This album is a certified classic with multiple bangers to back it up. Songs that certify this notion are And I Told Them I Invented Times New Roman, Turn Off the Lights, I'm Watching Back to the Future, and Open Your Eyes and Look North. They have 11 songs on their debut album. Well, technically 9 if you discard the first as the opener and the last as the closer. There isn't a single song on there that I don't like. The only real negative is that I like certain songs more than others. Boo-hoo. I'd love to go through every single song, but we'd be here till Easter, so I'll only go in on a few. Let's start off with And I Told Them I Invented Times New Roman. There's a reason why this is one of the most biggest and well-known songs to date. In the beginning, you'll rush straight into this beautiful intense mix of instruments, soulish vocals from Johnny Craig, and some screams from John Mess. Dance Gavin Dance was one of the first few bands where I had to get used to hearing two vocalists at once. It did take some time, I'll admit, but once I did, it became something that I looked forward to with each and every song. I didn't care too much for the lyrics in the early part of DGD's discography. It wasn't until Happiness and Acceptance Speech where I started to appreciate some of the lyrics. That being said, the melodies here are great enough to carry the band alone. Another one of my favorite songs on this album is the Backwards Pumpkin song. It has one of the most catchiest guitar riffs throughout this entire song and one of the catchiest DGD choruses ever. The amount of times I've sung, "Bring back the fight tonight, all of these lies that I uphold," to myself is more times than I could possibly ever count. Will Swan definitely did his thing here as the mad scientist of the band, with these sweet rhythms he'd be laying down. The last song I'll be talking about from this album is Open Your Eyes and Look North. This has one of the calmest starts to a song on the entire album, and I feel that this has a good emphasis on Johnny Craig's voice in the beginning. So for those who'd either like a slight change in pace, of tempo, or for those trying to get into the band, who are trying to get used to the screaming, this is the one of the first few songs early on that I recommend you listen to. Now join me, ladies and gentlemen, as we move on a year from the first album into the next one. On August 19th, 2008, the band released their self-titled album, or sometimes referred to as Deathstar. This is when the band ran into their first major issue. Their OG clean vocalist, Johnny Craig, left. So they hired the talent of vocalist Kurt Travis. This was a hard switch, as I didn't know this beforehand, as I listened to the albums blind. So I went in thinking everything was going to be the same for the most part. Boy, was I wrong. Kurt had some big shoes to fill. While I feel he was a decent replacement, he wasn't better than Johnny Craig. Even out of the 3 vocalists so far, Kurt is my least favorite by comparison. However, I do like his voice in the sense that it sounds a bit more realistic than Johnny and Tillion's voices. With that in mind, he's able to convey certain emotions in his own way. I don't know if this will make sense for those of you listening to it, but here goes. I didn't like this album, which hurt because, as you heard, I loved the one prior to this one. I didn't like it because I felt that it lacked a certain grooviness and catchiness that Downtown Battle Mountain 1 had all the way through, the soulish vocals and the John Messer screams. That was another thing that I forgot to mention here. The other founding vocalist wasn't around for recording this album too. Maybe this is one of those cases where it felt that because I had lost familiarity that everything else started to crumble too. That being said, the few songs I liked on here, I loved them. These include Alex English, Me and the Zoloft Get Along Just Fine, and Uneasy Hearts Weigh the Most. Yeah, it doesn't help my case that these are all mainly the popular songs. Heh, it's my video, let's move on. Since I only like these 3, let's get to business. Oh, I forgot that. I also just realized that John Messer actually did the unclean vocals on Deathstar, so I had a note here telling myself for the recording that, hey, don't mention the prior bit, but yeah, I stuffed up, but there you go, he actually did do the unclean vocals. It just kind of sounded a little bit off to me, but either way, let's continue. Alex English is amazing and does what every intro song does on an album. That is to make a memorable and great impression on the listener, bring the energy to an 11 out of 10, and set the tone for the rest of the album. John Messer starts off, and he doesn't disappoint. He has these fun set of lyrics in the beginning. It's kinda hard to ignore a song that starts with, "Stop! The first one to hit the cop wins!" I'm also not sure if it's just my ears, but it feels like John Messer's enunciation has gotten better, not only on the song, but with the entire album too. Also, his screams sound like they're slightly in a higher tone than the previous album. I also forgot to mention, but the little guitar notes leading into the initial chaos of the song in the first verse is a great touch too. This is when we first heard Kurt's voice for the first time, and it's a nice touch to the band's lineup. Also hearing John Messer and Kurt scream and sing the chorus together was a nice touch too. It's a simple lyric, but hearing them say, "Well, don't it feel good? You got what you paid for," just hits different. And the bridge with just Kurt singing and the change of tempo is sensational.
Sensational.
Next up, we've got a banger of a track by the name Me and the Zoloft Get Along Just Fine. This song gets the jump on you in the very beginning, similar to the previous song. However, there were no little notes leading up to the vocals. Think of it like a sucker punch in the best way possible. In Alex English, I thought that John was the standout vocalist in that track. But on this one, Kurt definitely takes the top spot for me. It's something about his lyrics and the way that he sings them. I'm not sure if it's his voice or the instrumentation that helps him. To be fair, it may be the combination of all those together that create the bigger picture for me. Also, how could I leave out the rest of the band? As much as I love the vocalists, this song is definitely made iconic due to the efforts of Will Smon's amazing guitar riffs, Matt Mingus's great drumming, and Jason Ellis's bass work. Just try and get used to the fact that Dancegavindance lineup has changed quite a bit since its formation, and will likely have a probability of it happening in the future. So if you hear me referencing different people and members across the course of this video, then you'll start to understand me a bit better. Sometimes when I'm by myself or in my head, I'll start to sing, "Oh, you should have listened to your friends. You would have been over this by now. Over this by now." The lyrics themselves aren't anything special. However, the energy and passion that Kurt puts into them makes him stand out. Lastly on this album, we've got probably my favorite track here, and one of my favorite DGD tracks of all time, introducing the song Uneasy Hearts Weigh the Most. This is one of the band's most well-known songs, along with Lemon Meringue Thai. This track is a straight-up love song. Everything from the lyrics to the slower pace of the song, compared to the rest of the songs on this album, make it a treat to listen to. Usually bridges are my favorite parts of the song, but it's different here. My favorite part in this tune is in the chorus. It was one of the first few times that I've heard a chorus sung like that, in a sing shouty type of manner with multiple people on the hook. It's definitely stuck with me since I've heard this back in 2016. Also, Will Swan needs to be paid double time for these notes and riffs that he be putting in. That man's a wizard and he be putting in work. Before I continue on to the next album, I gotta give credit to a very special man. That man is Mattias Adolfsson. Definitely butchered that name. He's a great artist who's responsible for the artwork of every Dance Gavindance album since the band's debut studio album, Downtown Battle Mountain, in 2007. His creations are so unique, allowing for each DGD album cover to be different and to have their own identity, while having some sort of cohesion. His artwork also allows for the band's music videos to be unique in their own right. The band has two styles of videos. They consist of live action videos, so what you would already be used to, and animations for some of them. So examples of the animated music videos that bounce off Mattias's art is Death of the Robot with Human Hair, Stroke God Millionaire, and Young Robot. Next album up, we've got Happiness. This album was released around a year after Deathstar. It's the second and final album to feature clean vocalist Kurt Travis, and is the only DGD album to not feature John Mess as the unclean vocalist, and is instead replaced by guitarist Will Swan. First things first, what I love about this album compared to Deathstar is the runtime. To give you context, Deathstar is 52 minutes in its runtime. Happiness, on the other hand, has a runtime of 37 minutes. I feel that this allowed the band to hone in and focus on the 10 tracks that they provided us with. I don't think that Happiness is perfect, but it's definitely better than the previous album. For example, on Deathstar I only liked 3 of the 13 tracks. On Happiness, I liked 5 out of the 10 tracks here. So definitely a major improvement and made my listening experience better this time around. The standout tracks on this album are Tree Village, Carl Baker, Strawberry Swisher Part 1, Don't Tell Dave, and Strawberry Swisher Part 2. We start off with Tree Village. I'd like to think that this is the band's statement to anyone who questioned what would be coming after Deathstar. And let's just say that this does not disappoint. I think that's a recurring theme on each and every DGD album so far, and the ones to come moving forward. They really know how to create a banger of an intro song and bring that much needed energy that I fell in love with on Downtown Battle Mountain. This album is also refreshing once we find out that it's Will Swan screaming and belting out these lines on this tune. At first, before I found that out, I honestly thought that the band had gotten another unclean vocalist to replace John Mess, or it was John trying a new style of unclean vocals. Despite it being his first time on the unclean vocals, as far as I know, he most definitely came to show out. Kurt's singing has me in an emotional trance as usual, but it's Will who steals the show here. Especially in the third verse. I never usually cared too much for the band's early lyrics as much as I do for the later ones, but this verse, especially when reading it, is pretty well written. My favorite lyrics that come out of this are, all the trees, all the birds, and the stink-cold life, I stake it all for my 40 acres and a trophy wife. Now, I don't know if these lyrics have any deeper meaning, besides it sounding cool, but according to my understanding on what's on the website of genius.com, it's that Will Swan is playing on the idea of trading his life filled with good things from nature and the horrors of loneliness and depression. For those that don't know, a 40 acres and a mule was promised to former slaves back at the end of the Civil War in 1865. I used to hear that term in some songs here and there, but never truly knew what it meant. Guess you learn something new every single day. Next up, we've got an absolute gem, Carl Baker. This starts off with one of the sickest guitar notes to a DGD song. This song is about a relationship that isn't working. I don't know what it is about me and songs that deal with this topic, but they always tend to be my favorites. Back to the song. My favorite part of the song is in the pre-chorus. It has some of my favorite lyrics from the band's entire discography, not just this album. Kerr has this way of delivering lines in a certain way that makes you connect and feel with them really well. For example, the lines I'm thinking of go, I guess I still miss you. Oh well, it's just me and you. What else should we do? We're talking's for functioning people. When you listen to it, you'll understand my point a lot better. I have another set of favorite lyrics and moment that comes from the chorus right after this. The lyrics go, you'd always say, we'll win the lottery someday, so I wouldn't have to go away. I should have known that I had it all along, but I didn't know till you were gone. This album and lyrics like these are definitely the point in the band's history for me, in where I started to care and get more invested into the lyrics. I love these lyrics because apart from them sounding cool, they also have a nice meaning in my eyes. It's that sometimes you can hope that a relationship can get better eventually, and that pushing through certain stages like this will help the both of you in the relationship. While this is true for some couples and a great growing experience for others, it might make things worse and will only delay things in the short term. I listened to this song before and after my last relationship, and I'll tell you that these lyrics hit a lot harder after it ended. Isn't it funny? I used to hate when my English teachers back in high school used to create deep meanings out of nothing, and now it's all I do for my YouTube channel. Oh, how the tables have turned for me. Wouldn't it be funny if the band just thought that these lyrics just sounded cool to them, so that's why they threw in there? Yikes. This album may not have been perfect, but this is when Kurt definitely started to come into his own within the band, because it is a hard feat to live up to the expectations set by Johnny Craig on Downtown Battle Mountain. Rolling up next, we got an absolute smooth one right here with Strawberry Swisher Part 1. This song is absolute perfection. Now, while I think that DGD is at their peak with their back and forth between vocalists, the approach they took here worked and paid off. I think this is one of the first times where they have the clean vocalist, Kurt in this case, sing the song by themselves. To put it into perspective about how much I love this song, if I was to create a top 10 songs list by the band out of the 10 albums, I promise you this would be right up there. It has a smooth, laid-back R&B type of feel. The lyrics take a backseat here, but I believe that works more in the song's favor. Sure, you got the guitars and the drumming running in the back, but I promise you that it adds to the experience of the song more than you think. I guarantee if you start listening to this track quite often, you'll eventually start catching yourself singing the incredibly catchy lyrics. Please, girl, stay to the early morning. We can have some coffee, do my laundry. More times than you can count. Moving on, we've got arguably the most infectious song on the album, Don't Tell Dave. Everything from the crowd noises in the beginning, the super upbeat guitars and drums, and Kurt's passionate singing make this song what it is. I'm convinced that no matter how bad of a mood you're in, this song will always cheer you up. The funk and grooves here make it one of the catchiest and colorful releases in DGD's discography. Last up from this album, we got one of the best closers right before the actual last song, Powder to the People, Strawberry Swisher Part 2. I love that they have this song as a sequel to the first one on the same album too. That's another thing I love about this band, is that they can keep things like this going with similar sounding titles, and they know when to end it too. While Part 1 had a more playful and seductive tone to it, this one has more of an emotional and pleading type of tone to it. It continues on the theme of the affair that the writer and this girl have, which is interesting to hear. My favorite part of Strawberry Swisher Part 2 is in the bridge, which Kurt and a bunch of others yell, "So, this is why we don't talk anymore," in unison together. That moment alone is satisfying to my ears, but in context of the song as well, it's even better. Finally, we're up to the album Downtown Battle Mountain 2. This is the 4th full-length album released by the band. This album is a direct sequel to the first one, and with an album cover like that, there is no way they could disappoint. On a serious note, this is the first time that dancegavindance achieved perfection on an album for me. They really did get close with the first Downtown Battle Mountain, though. Every song on here is great, and even the ones I don't like as much are only that way because I like some of the other songs here better by default. So what I'm gonna do is talk about my favorite songs on here, which is like 90% of the album. So get ready, this is gonna be a ride. Introducing us to this wonderful album is none other than the amazing song Spooks. Here we got the dream team back from Downtown Battle Mountain 1, except for former guitarist Sean O'Sullivan. Those notes in the beginning of Spooks have to be one of the best sounds that I've ever heard in music. This is the definition of an orgasm if I've ever heard it. Here, we're welcomed back with Johnny Craig's wonderful R&B/soul voice and John Mess's screams. Also love the shape that John Mess's screams take here. On the first Downtown Battle Mountain, they took on more of a low-range, guttural type of growl, but here they're higher pitched. This helps the lyrics stand out more, and it actually makes it easier for me to understand them most of the time without looking at them online. I also forgot how insane some of DGD's lyrics can get, particularly on John Mess's side. I'll give you a few examples. First up, we've got, "Not a lot of shit left to break inside the mind of an acid whore. Swallowing your sister's nightstand might cover up the clogging pores." We've also got, I believe every little child can benefit from smoking weed. My favorite John Mess lyric in this entire song easily comes in the second verse. It goes, I don't know much about computers, but I know that you look like a child abuser. Oh, I love this band so much. John Mess is an actual gem of a human being and an artist. Here, they've also brought back Will Swan's rapping. Thank goodness. This man is so smooth. He has one of the best type of voices for rapping too, which helped to bring another dimension to Spooks. Also love how these guys included a different set of guitar riffs, not only for the bridge, but for Will Swan's rap too. They went all out with this mountain of an opener, and it shows. Pounce Bounce is a nice and fun tune which comes right after the last one. The standout of the track is a John Mess lyric once again. It goes, what's it like to be an atheist? Are you okay with suicide? Well, it's baffling that my ears can bleed when I see into your domestic thighs. I love this band so much. I don't know how John comes up with these lyrics, but they definitely do not disappoint. My favorite part about the tune, The Robot with Human Hair Part 2.5, is the guitar solo they have at the 1 minute and 45 second mark. Next up, we got one of my favorite DGD songs on this project, Thug City, and maybe even in general. The opening guitar riff in the beginning mixed with Johnny Craig shouting on this album is amazing. So far, John Mess has been taking first place on this album, but Johnny Craig takes the cake here. This is his song if I've ever heard it. His vocals are some of the most passionate that I've ever heard them in DGD up until this point. Now, we're going to be moving on to easily one of the best songs on this album, Heat Seeking Ghost of Sex. I love this song for the same reason I love Spooks. Everything from Johnny Craig's amazing clean vocals, John Mess's fun screams and lyrics, and Will Swan's rapping. They did everything right and tuned it up some more. The guitars and drums are moving at the pace of an F1 car and don't let up at all, which I love personally. My favorite John Mess lyric here is the "Don't be tardy for my leaky Barbie TV party pee in the park." Johnny Craig is singing like rent's to be due this week, and it shows in his voice. But my favorite part in here easily has to be in the bridge. Here, we're graciously presented with the musical stylings of John Mess and Will Swan. Up until that point, I was curious about how that would work together, and it far exceeded my expectations. I never knew I needed to hear Will Swan's smooth rapping and John Mess's wild screams together until I heard it, and it's now something I look forward to on future projects. It's around this point that I started to realize that Downtown Battle Mounted 2 started to exceed the first one. Next up, we've got one of the smoothest songs in DGD's entire catalog, Blue Dream. If you prefer the clean vocals more as opposed to the screams and uncleans, then this is the track for you. I think this might be the most soulful and passionate that I've heard Johnny Craig on a DGD song and project. In the verses, he takes a slower approach and takes more time showcasing his emotion. Then in the chorus, when the instrumentation starts to turn up, so does he. You still got John Mess here, but let's not kid ourselves. This is Johnny's song and moment. Don't even get me started on the bridge with how peaceful the instrumental sounds and the carefree feeling that Johnny Craig gives off here. How can I ever forget the skit at the end of the song with Johnny Craig hitting up a chick and asking her what color her eyes are? It's a must to listen to that part every time the song plays. My favorite part of the tune, Previously Punchies, is the very first verse. Similar to Blue Dream, we get another great combination. This time it's in the form of Johnny Craig and Will Swan going crazy together. Johnny's passionate singing and Will's smooth rapping is something that you can never go wrong with. Fast forward 2 more years and we're brought with the band's 5th album, Acceptance Speech. In true DGD fashion, we have them change vocalists again. From Johnny Craig to Tillian Pearson, everyone. Johnny Craig was kicked out due to drug issues and other problems behind the scenes. I kinda knew ahead of time that Tillian was gonna be in the band since the song that got me into DGD was We Own the Night. Damn, I haven't disliked a DGD album this much since the self-titled back in 2008. At least with the Kurt transition in vocals, it didn't feel like too much of a jump. However, with Tillian here, it's the complete opposite. His vocals on this album was super high and it didn't have enough grit and passion to it like Kurt and Johnny did. I'm glad that I am making this video script now compared to when I first listened to it. Because when I first listened to this album, I only liked one song and that was a single, Strawberry Swisher Part 3. But it's been 7 years since I first listened to Acceptance Speech. A few of the other tracks have grown on me here. Let's start off with the main single, Strawberry Swisher Part 3. What I really liked about this song and album was the introduction of better, more introspective lyrics. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the nonsensical lyrics of the band's early work, but it is nice to have a balance here and there. The song's lyrics talk about religion and how some people can be taken advantage of through it. Now while I am a Christian, particularly a Seventh-day Adventist, I love how they tackled it here. My favorite lyrics come from John Mess. They go, got a box of lies, gonna get you high with the words of wisdom, got a big ass book, but I'm not a crook, but I'll take your guilt in the form of dollars. John Mess cooked up an absolute masterpiece with this one. Tillian's vocals are nice here, but John takes the cake here. Moving on, we've got the creepiest song on here, and possibly one of the creepiest DGD songs, Honey Revenge. I'm conflicted because of how creepy the song is, but also how good it sounds. There's plenty of creepy lyrics here, but I'll spare you and only give you one set of them. Yikes. They go, I will never let you leave my side. I've been staying up lately all night, making sure you get to bed safely, dreaming of when it'll be you and me. It doesn't also help that the song aged kind of poorly. For context, in late 2022, Tillian Pearson had a few sexual assault allegations lodged against him. Damn, you never really wanted to be your favorite artist too, or anyone at all. He has denied all of them, and as far as I know, he hasn't been proven guilty. So I'll be sticking by the side of the innocent until proven guilty. Let's move on to the next song, shall we? Introducing Death of the Robot with Human Hair. This song grew on me once I gave it a few more listens, and I also really enjoyed the music video. It's a treat. Tillian's faint vocals work really well in the beginning of the song, and it feels like the instrumentation here complements Tillian a lot, similar to how it did on the previous track, Honey Revenge. Then John Mess comes in and sends us into chaos, and I'm here for it. I love how they turn up the guitars and the drums for John Mess's part to match his energy. Then we're presented with a gift, Will Swan. We've heard Will Swan alongside John Mess, then alongside Johnny Craig. You know how he keeps the hype going? He joins in with everyone else in the song, not just another individual. And it sounds freaking majestic, my dude. I love whatever autotune and distortion they used on Will and Tillian's voices here to make them further stand out. I will confidently say that this song rivals any of the songs on both Downtown Battle Mountains and Happiness. It's just so good in its own way, and that's what I love about it. That's what I also love about the band the most. With each and every album, they stick to innovating the sound to make it different to their past albums while still keeping the signature dancegavindance sound. The last song I'm going to be talking about on this album is Turn Off the Lights. I'm watching Back to the Future Part 2. While Tillian's voice is on the quieter side here, it gives the song a nice touch and makes it a wonderful sequel to the first part. This is also one of the longer DGD songs, with it clocking in at 6 minutes, but it's definitely a must listen to, y'all. Zooming 2 years past this, we got the band's 6th album, Instant Gratification. I don't know what sort of crack these guys sprinkled on this album, but this body of work is leagues better than Acceptance Speech. For context on Acceptance Speech, I really only liked 4 of the songs on it, which is a shame. However, here on Instant Gratification, I liked 7 of the 12 songs, so clearly something's worked here. Allow us to start off with one of DGD's best openers, We Own the Night. I'm glad that we're up to this point because this is the first DGD song that I've ever listened to, and it's the same one that got me to become a fan of this band. The smooth guitar in the intro of this tune is a gem to listen to, and then when John Mess joins Tillian, the song is made even better. I think Tillian also found that missing grit in his voice that I was also desperately starved of in the previous album. So now when I hear him alongside John Mess and the instrumentation, he doesn't get drowned out and lost in the sauce. Now, while the lyrics aren't anything to write home about in this one, it doesn't need to be. It serves its purpose as this fun tune for all of us to nod our heads to. Around verse 2 and the bridge is my favorite moment of this entire song. It's just one big eargasm here, and I stand by that statement. It's as satisfying as hearing the bridge of Blue Dream on Downtown Battle Mountain 2. Next up, we've got the second song on here, which actually outdoes the first, which is Stroke God Millionaire. This song is a bit more on the abrasive side and hits like a truck in the beginning. Then Tillian comes in with his smooth and soft singing. I'm a big lover of bridges in music, and this one doesn't disappoint. The song Something New is easily one of the catchiest songs on here, and I absolutely love the second verse. Here, Tillian takes on more of a sing/rap approach, and it comes together to make this beautiful state of tranquility. And ooh, when I tell you that Awkward might be one of the best tracks on here, I mean that with my whole chest. I love that uplifting message of the song and the trance it puts me in. But the main thing that stuck with me this entire time was the chorus. It has some of my favorite lyrics that make me laugh, such as, Now, so you roll, keep your head low, your life is a joke, don't make this awkward. It's so infectious that sometimes I'll catch myself singing these words from time to time to myself. The boys at Dance Gavin Dance struck gold with this one. Eagles vs. Crow easily has to be a top 10 DGD song if I've ever heard it. It defines this album so well. With John Mess's wonderful vocals, Tillian's smooth singing, and the dope instruments, and Will Swan's wonderful rapping. Will's easily got my favorite lyrics on here with line up some blow on your tits and blow the rest in your face. If you're not turning up, then your whole life's a disgrace. While I do appreciate thoughtful lyrics from time to time, I also want something more memorable and simpler like this. The boys killed it with this one. Death of a Strawberry serves as the end in the trilogy of the Strawberry series. This song is freaking incredible. I know it sounds that way for nearly every song that I've talked about by these guys, but the truth is that they rarely ever miss. This tune goes on to talk about the human worries like health, where life is going, and escapism. John Mess's lyrics are usually not to be taken too seriously. However, here in this song are some of his best lyrics ever. His lyrics complement Tillian's in the best way possible. Lyrics that prove my point are, please make way for the special invented. I'm a mental protection if reality is raging harder. Hello, Mr. Mime. Hello, medicine. I believe denial makes me hella intelligent. Truly a work of art right here. I also feel like this is one of the best songs to recommend to your friends or people who are new to the genre. DGD did one hell of a job with their closer, Lost. The beginning is hectic and there's a part in which Tillian and John have synchronized vocals. This song talks about someone who needs a god and is lost. Get it? Yeah, I'll let myself out now. But at the same time, this religious believer says they don't want to know the truth or care as long as they have their purpose. The best part and lyrics of this masterpiece come in the bridge. They go, oh no, he said a bad word. We should burn him at the stake. Exaggerate the shame. He's ignorant and vulgar, so evil we can tell. He'll surely rot in hell. A homophobic sociopath, a menace to us all. He'll take the fall. Apart from this sounding very cool, I love how they call out people who virtual signal. For those that don't know, virtual signaling is when someone or a group of people appear to make themselves look better by calling out someone else for something that they don't really care about. For example, if someone calls me out for using the word cunt and being sexist for using that just to make themselves look better in the public. Just think of it all as one big publicity stunt. This is what I think of when I hear a 10 out of 10 song. Moving on to 2016, a year after Instant Gratification came out, we're blessed with the wonderful album Mothership. Damn, these guys are some hard workers to produce and make the best album to date. Mothership is perfection if I've ever heard it, and I'll fight anyone on that. Man, woman, child, or dog. The only song I could do without here is Petting Zoo Justice. No matter how many times I listen to it, I can't seem to like it at all. This is when Tillian started to prove that he's the best vocalist in the band's lineup, with a combination of vocals and lyrics to match. Tillian came in with something to prove because their opener, Chucky vs the Giant Tortoise, he goes all out. His grit matches Johnny Craig's, but in his own way. Him and John Mess trade lyrics back and forth in the first verse, and it's a delight to listen to. From beginning to end, this song is wonderful, and it's so good that by the time you get to the end, you don't even realize it. I love how the lyrics bring up particular issues of low self-esteem, substances, and doubt. There's no particular lyric here that stands out, mainly because they all work together so well for me. Next up, we've got Young Robot. You know how we had the Strawberry series? Well, this continues the Robot series of songs they've had too, and there's a lot of them too. This one is one of the most distinct sounding songs from the band's discography, with the flute playing and amazing guitar work. This is one of the catchiest, if not the catchiest, DGD song from this album and the entire catalog. While the lyrics may take a bit of a backseat here compared to the previous song, it makes up for it with the amazing instrumentation and vocals. This is the ultimate feel-good song. If I ever get to see these guys live, I'm praying that this song is in their tour lineup. The tune Frozen 1 talks about a relationship that isn't working, and if you've been in one like that, cough cough me, then this song may have a special place in your heart. My favorite part of the song is when Tillian and John combine their vocals together in the bridge to make for a wonderful piece of art. Flossie Dicky Bounce has one of the best starts in DGD history, with an autotune voice saying cocaine, and the chorus being shouted by John Mess, cocaine cringe fest. This is one of those things you didn't know you wanted and or needed until you got it, but I'm also glad that I did. Deception is a gem of a song with some of the coolest sounding lyrics here. For example, cordial graces, smiling faces, back and forth, antiquated, overrated, social horse, Give this one a listen if you can. It's a wonderful time. Spy the Lies is right after and serves as one of the songs on here that makes this their best album today. And I will fight anyone on that, man, woman, child, dog, cat, or rat. You got the wonderful intro from Tillian in the beginning, John Mess's great lyrics and screaming, and the oh so amazing guitar work. John Mess has also managed to sneak in some funny lyrics among his cool ones too. A great one that proves my point is, penis wide, the tower's high, is coming at your feet. The story's old, the butthole full of cats spreading bleed. The bass during the bridge is phenomenal and adds to the groove of the song, and the outro is hard to put into words. You guys have to listen to this out of all the songs on here. Here Comes the Winner is pure gold. Tillian gracing us with some great lyrics in the beginning. The chorus and the guitars are forever stuck in my head. Tillian also has some extra passion in his voice here, and it's amazing to hear. This man was singing like bills were to be paid the next day. My favorite lyrics here come in the form of the chorus from Tillian, which go, I'll pretend I'm better than these clowns in their plastic faces, on another level, pound for pound, and their self-abasement. There's more amazing lyrics here, but I want you guys to hear and discover them for yourselves. Betrayed by the Game is one of the most in my feeling type of songs on this entire record. I love how it talks about being vulnerable and weak and leaving it all out on the table for the partner/ex. How they made this so catchy and emotional too is an amazing feat by the band. Quick side note, I forgot to mention how awesome Dance Gavin Dance music videos are. They have some that are animated, some that are live action, and even some that are a mix of the two. I reckon that's the best way for people to get into the band. Till this day, the lyrics, I just crashed my car and it got me thinking of you, so I just thought I'd call to tell you why, to tell you I still love you, are forever stuck in my head, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Chocolate Jackalope brings back Will Swan, and he has this wonderful rap in verse 3 while ad-libbing for John Mess too. His voice is just too smooth, man. I also love that thing they do when they sing in unison together. The same reason why I love the chorus of Uneasy Hearts way the most. In an odd sense, it gives off a feeling that these guys are a unit while distinct in their own ways. They move in one. I love this band. I know I've been talking about top 10 songs quite a bit throughout the course of this video, but the song Man of the Year is easily a top 5 DGD song. If someone said that this is the greatest song in their career, I wouldn't argue. That's saying a lot considering these guys have 10 plus albums and have been going on strong for almost 2 decades. The entire song itself is a piece of art from beginning to middle to end. Here, Tillian shows that this is his era, something to be taken seriously and remembered. I remembered talking to a friend of mine when this album came out back in high school, and we both agreed that this song was easily the best song on the whole album. The lyrics in the bridge are golden, with them going, not about to justify, don't sympathize with my meltdown, I don't need a friend, I'd rather keep it all to myself now. There's more, but I want you guys to experience that for yourself. And ooh hot damn, that outro is crispy golden. Next up in line we've got Artificial Selection. Before we talk about the music on here, can we just agree that the album cover is beyond amazing? I would love to have a DGD collection of disc plates in my room. That would be so sick. Now I know what I'm going to be doing with my first YouTube check. The first song on here, Son of Robot, continues on the Robot series and is a wonderful opener to the album. Now while it's not the knockout that Chucky vs. the Giant Tortoise was, it's an absolute gem. If you prefer the slightly chiller sound of the band, then this song would be for you. Midnight Crusade was the lead single for this album, and I see why. I can't properly put it into words, but I feel that this song and most of the albums here have a similar feel to the songs on Mothership in the best way possible. My favorite part is easily the outro with John Mess screaming out a bunch of lyrics super fast, and boy does it not disappoint. A few lyrics to prove my point are, I'm kissing a baby then licking a boot, I live in a deli, put me in your tooth. This is just pure fun and I'm here for it. Care is one of the softer songs on here, but it's so nice. This song, maybe even this album, would work great on trying to get a new person or friend to become a fan of the band as well. This song is about a relationship not going well and the singer trying to convince the partner that they still care and want to make it work. I don't know if it's a red flag, but I love songs that are about relationships not going well. For some reason, they always end up being really good. Count Basie easily has one of the best instrumentals on the album. It sums up the album really well. The instrumental is so good that I feel like I'm always being put into a trance every time I hear it. Last song we've got from this album is Evaporate. This tune is easily a top 5 song, similar to how Man of the Year is as well. The instrumental is great. We get a surprise vocals from Andrew Wells. the frontman of the band Idiola. The bit towards the end of the song is what makes it so legendary. On my first time listening through this song and album, I thought I was hearing things when I heard Tillian and John Miss sing lyrics from past DGD albums. Then when I went to go look at the lyrics, it was confirmed for me, and this is the best gift a fan of the band could have ever gotten. It's the same reason why What a Catch Donnie by Fall Out Boy is one of my favorite songs ever by them. Because towards the end, they have a bunch of artists who are also signed to the label Fueled by Ramen at the time sing a bunch of lyrics from their older songs on past albums. For a newer fan, it might be whatever. But for someone like me, who became a fan with each and every album they put out, it means the world to us. Afterburner will be the last album that I'll be talking about, since it's also the last one that I listened to. As for Jackpot Juicer, I'll try and make a video about that sometime soon. Let's start off with Lyrics Lie off of Afterburner. What I love about this song and the album is that it's more unpredictable and sounds more lively than the previous album, Artificial Selection. This song is a mix of groovy, good vibes, and catchy. Usually, artists' albums start to decline with time. However, DGD's albums have only gotten better and aged more amazingly. Caliento Global is easily my favorite song on the entire album, no questions asked. You may be asking me, why is that the case? And that's a fair question. The reason this is because every line Tillian has in the song is in Spanish, and it was a wonderful surprise. On top of that, the guitar riffs feel super new and inventive compared to their usual stuff. This isn't me bagging on DGD, as they're always usually inventive, but this song feels like they're going to infinity and beyond, and I'm here for it. When I do go and see the band live one day, this song has to be on the set list. The tune One in a Million gives me a similar vibe to the songs off of Happiness, and I love it. It feels like a modern day approach to it without trying to copy it. Parody Catharsis is another gem that continues to experiment with a wonderful instrument, intro, and some juicy Will Swan vocals. I generally can't get that chorus out of my head. This album truly does have similar vibes to Happiness while experimenting and adding some chaos into the mix. I think I've said enough throughout this video, but the album covers these guys have are truly beautiful. If anyone says I'm glazing, choke on spit, you mouth breathers. Thank you guys for sticking with me and watching this video. I'll try and alternate between shorter and longer videos, but at the end of the day, I want to make videos about stuff that I'm passionate about and deliver it in a cool package for you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for whatever else I put out, and this is Black Sugar Lovin', out.